So before Fariel, you figure it out, I'll just give a little bit of your background that Fariel and I were together at LUMS, and after that she joined international donor agencies. I think she worked with Asian Development Bank. She worked in the energy sector in Pakistan, working on the reforms over there. And then she left all of that, a very high flying global career where she worked in Egypt and the US, and I think even in Far East Asia, to come back to Pakistan to do this work in the rural areas of Sindh. So it's very commendable what she is doing, both at the personal level and professional level. Thank you. So over to you now, Fariel. We'll love to hear
Sorry
more
about
about
that.
Uptrade,
Okay.
and then I'll ask you questions and we'll open up for Q&A. So over to you now.
Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna share my screen. So now you should be able to see my screen. So let me start with the presentation. My name is Fariel Salahuddin, and I am the founder and CEO of Uptrade. Uptrade is a social enterprise that is working with smallholder livestock farmers in developing countries, enabling them to use their livestock as money. So our customers are families like Imam Karo's here. Imam Karo and his wife Sati live in a remote off-grid village in Tharparkar. Their family lives without electricity and water. Imam Karo's wife Sati and their daughter spend about 4 hours a day every day to collect water for their home use and for their animal use. Imam Karo raises goats and he sells these goats to earn a living for himself. However, the nearest market for Imam Karo to sell these animals is about 2 hours away. And he therefore has to rely on something called middlemen, Byoparis, who will come to his village to buy his livestock for him and take it to the nearest marketplace. But this middleman, most of the time, will give him a fraction of the cost of the value and also pay him piecemeal, which really impacts his day-to-day life and his livelihood. On the other side of the livestock value chain are large meat companies and exporters, companies like Meat One, Zenith, Al-Shahir, who you may know of. And they face pretty much the same problems. This is a screenshot from Al-Shahir's 2018 financials. And as you'll see, they've outlined that the biggest challenge they face is getting a healthy vetted supply of animals, which really increases the cost of doing business for them and impacts their bottom line. So Uptrade came up with a solution which helps both the farmers and these companies. Goats for Water, which is the flagship product of Uptrade, is a very simple solution where families like Imam Karos pay Uptrade in goats, and Uptrade together with our technical partners will install solar assets and productivity assets such as solar home systems and solar water pumps. The goats that Uptrade receives, then Uptrade sells to companies like Meat One, Al-Shahir, Zenith, recovering the cost of the pump and making a profit on top. So since 2017, we have launched other products in addition to solar water pumps. We have added solar home systems. We are now looking to add solar smart grids. We are looking to add other productivity assets. And last year in August, we launched an electronic marketplace with the aim to connect the farmers directly to buyers so that farmers can sell directly to meat companies and to other retailers using our digital marketplace. Our aim is eventually to create a localized community digital currency, which is based in the produce that the farmers grow or raise. We are essentially cutting out the layers of inefficient intermediaries that really disrupt both the farmer and the retail businesses and create a lot of inefficiency in the Pakistani market that really add to the cost of meat and don't really make us very competitive in the international market. We do this with three tiers of our operation. The first one being our app and the digital platform that the farmers use to input their key information about their animals that helps them price it. And this app is currently being used by our team of agents that are livestock extension workers who teach the farmers how to use the app and also reach new farmers for us. And then, of course, we are the marketing arm where we sell the animals that we get both through our barter model and our digital platform to B2B companies, to export companies, and to individuals. This problem is actually not just limited to Pakistan. Smallholder farmers, especially livestock farmers everywhere in the frontier economy face similar issues reaching the market. And our aim is to get to these markets in the next 4 to 5 years. Our solution, as I said, aims to work with not only the 5 million smallholder livestock farmers in Pakistan, but we also hope to bring this impact and change to the 1 billion smallholder livestock farmers living in developing markets globally. In doing so, we will be tapping into the $7.8 billion Pakistan meat market and the $1.3 trillion global meat industry. Our work touches upon 6 SDGs. By providing clean water and access to energy, we are reducing time poverty for women and girls who are primarily responsible for bringing water to their homes. By providing productivity enhancing assets to farmers, we are increasing their productivity and therefore their livelihoods. And by incentivizing these farmers, we are keeping them central to the livestock value chain. We have already brought around this impact for 10,000 farmers in Pakistan through our first collection center in our pilot in Tharparkar. And over the next year, we aim to reach 70,000 farmers in Pakistan. And we aim to do this through our partnership with the local NGOs. And we have just started our partnership with NRSP to reach 70,000 of their farmers who they have lent, who they have given loans to. And these livestock farmers have been facing huge issues reaching the market. Using our products and services, these farmers hope to make better earnings and also return the loans that they have taken. The most important thing that we are currently focused on is launching our organic meat brand. So right now we are selling to meat companies who buy live animals. And we are hoping that by adding a little bit of value to the product, we can actually launch our own meat brand that will allow us to sell at a much higher price. At this point, we get about $6 a kg. By going into value-added products, we can sell at $10 a kg, which will not only increase the margins for us, but also help us translate this value down to the farmers. Over the next few months, we are launching a number of interesting products. Goats for fodder is one of them, where farmers can buy a supply of fodder for the rest of their herd, giving us just one animal. We are also launching a solar microgrid where entire villages will get electricity and they can pay for this using goats as payment. And we are also looking to launch solar smartphones, which will get our app in the hands of the farmers directly. We have recently set up our base in the Netherlands, and we've done this with the aim of reaching other countries that have asked for this model. So a number of countries in Africa and a number of our partners there have expressed interest that they would like to bring this model there. And being in Europe helps us connect to these countries better. We have gotten this far with about $140,000, which we have raised in grants and awards. And now we are looking to raise capital for our growth. And this will be going towards launching the meat line in Pakistan, growing to new locations within Pakistan, and bringing our tech in-house. So we have done all of this with an amazing team. I'm really very, very proud of my team. Lisa and I, we bring in the entrepreneurial experience. I've got the energy sector experience. Lisa also has energy sector experience, but she brings in the marketing perspective. Sindhu Kumari is our finance manager and also leads a lot of our operational work. And she is what would be a CPA equivalent. We've got Dr. Suresh Malhi and Bharat Kumar, who are from the communities that we work in. We have 3 other team members who are not listed here. 2 of them we have been very lucky to onboard from Fauji Meat Company and Al Shahir, and they bring in the marketing and operational knowledge of the meat industry. I'd like to leave you here on this slide, which captures sort of the recognition that we have gotten globally for the innovativeness of our model. And we really are looking to scale up, to be able to bring the impact of our work to not just in Pakistan, not just to smallholder farmers in Pakistan, but also to smallholder farmers in other countries. So I'm happy to take your question here, and thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you for that, Fariel. It was fascinating. I would love to start by asking you about your journey. You were in the corporate world. How did you get this idea? Why did you leave your corporate life for this? So what would love to, if you can tell us more about your background. You studied in New York as well, you came back. So please tell us more.
So as you know, Ali, your journey and my journey started together with equity research. And then I basically moved towards development work. And after my master's at SIPA, I started working with the DFIs on energy finance. And within that scope, I became really interested in off-grid energy. So I was working on doing project finance for very large power projects, but I wanted to see impact, reach the ground. So I started looking into off-grid energy, and that took me to rural Sindh, and that's where we started our first project in this village, which had no water, no electricity, 2 hours outside Karachi, but living in such dire conditions. And we put up a pump there, and we took the payment as livestock. And that model really worked. So in terms of my transition, I felt that, using all the knowledge and all the training that I had received, I felt I could make a bigger impact through this startup and taking this model and work elsewhere as well.
Fascinating. And can you tell us a bit more about, the state of rural Sindh, the areas where you work, what's the kind of situation? Because a lot of us on this call, perhaps most of us on this call, would not have experience of visiting those places, and we won't be able to make a good mental picture of it.
I was pretty much in the same boat as, I was very much a Karachi person, very urban, grew up in Karachi, very rarely traveled into interior Sindh. And when I first got to Sindh, which happened to be to explore the potential for off-grid, I was really surprised. I was very taken aback that, Karachi is a city of 22 million people, and it's a bustling metropolitan with the best amenities, and yet just 2 hours away was this community, with which was living without water. They were actually bussing in water at 40,000 rupees a month, which is a lot for them, for just a small amount of water to their village. There was no electricity. And even if there was electricity, some of these villages have connectivity, but the power comes maybe 1 hour a day, maybe once every alternate day. The road connectivity is now getting better. I mean, I've been traveling into Sindh for the last 4 or 5 years. There's a lot of potential, and in terms of what can be done, in terms of the the farming practices that can be improved using technology. But things are still very, very like archaic and still, sort of backwards, and there's so much potential to bring change.
And what was the people's reception to the work which you were doing? Because here you were as an outsider visiting them in their villages, in rural settings. Was it difficult working with them? And then I'm sure like places are different, but like for me, it's very difficult to imagine like as an outsider coming to these places, not speaking the language and then dealing with them. So how has your experience been for so many years?
My experience actually has been great. I mean, language is an issue, but generally when I go in, I'm facilitated by our partners who are local NGOs or through friends and family who are associated with Sindh. So there's someone always there who speaks the language, but in Sindh, pretty much a lot of people do understand Urdu. Um, they are People are super hospitable. I think Pakistanis overall, we are generally good-hearted, friendly people, and I've come across that in Sindh. I've felt very taken care of. I've never felt unsafe, um, and the response from the communities has been really very interesting and good, in the sense that our model is based on bringing self-reliance, right? So most of the time, when with the urban rural interaction, it's always about, oh, someone from the city is coming to help the the rural villagers. We are coming in as we are seeing a gap in the market, and we're coming to fill it, and these are our customers, and that is the relationship we have, and that relationship is a strong one, and people respond to that. Because previously in the communities that we used to go to, people were like very charity driven. They were like, "Kya acha aap hame ye laga dein aur ye de dein aur ye paise." But when they understood that, oh my God, we can do this for ourselves, that we can buy our own solar water pump, we don't have to wait for someone with charity coming in, the mindset totally changes. For example, one of like we do solar water pumps, and what we've observed in that is that the pumps that these communities purchase with their own assets, they take care of them. There's someone, and not just they, but even we are responsible to them, right? So we have a 2-year contract with them, similar to like if I buy an AC for my house, I get a warranty and I get someone to come and fix it if something breaks down. Whereas what we've observed, when things are kind of given as charity, neither the community nor the people giving hold any responsibility over the longer term. There's no long-term engagement on this. So the asset kind of falls away, neither one valuing it. With this exchange, there's an empowerment, there's a sense of empowerment and a sense of sort of responsibility which comes in from our side and their side, which is really empowering. And that is what we're doing to create. This is not something that, oh, we're going and doing charity. No, this is about seeing a gap in the market, and going and filling that gap.
That's very interesting. Already, and if you have more questions, please do write it on chat. But Fariel, before I read those questions to you, I have another question. Can you tell me what has your impact been so far in these communities of the work which you've already done so far?
So we've reached about 10,000 farmers through our Goats for Water and our electronic marketplace. And the impact that we have seen is that, just bringing productivity assets, for example, something like a solar water pump, we thought we'd be improving the lives of the people. What we didn't realize is that the impact this has on their productivity. For example, before they had a solar water pump, people were not giving livestock water like as often. It was every alternate day. So the mortality of the livestock was higher, the fertility was lower, the body weight was lower. So now with these, when the livestock gets water, they're heavier, they're healthier, they get better prices in the market. So that was one thing that we observed. With our e-mandi model now, we are able to, like, farmers were getting paid like, kabhi pay hote the, kabhi nahi hote the. They would get paid over many weeks. Now they're getting cash up front. They actually see, like, the agents will weigh the animals right in front of them, rather than someone saying, Acha, now I'm going to take it to market and I'll tell you how much price I get for it. So there's a lot more transparency on that front. So these are some of the impacts we see. And of course, these are the immediate impacts that we can see, but then impact also has depth, which means that you see the impact over the course of time, and this becomes apparent as something like this sort of takes roots. So this is what we're aiming for, and this is what we're observing so far.
Very interesting, fascinating. You're doing some great work. So keep it up, and best of luck with it. I'm just now going to read some of the questions which have come, and I'll do it one by one. This first question from Asim Qureshi, and he's asking that livestock and meat is very highly regulated, especially in developed countries. They require certification, vaccination. How are you planning to ensure all of that when you expand to other markets?
Right, that's actually a great question. And Asim, thank you so much for raising it, because it sheds light to one of the key things that we are doing. So there's something called traceability in Pakistan, in the livestock and meat industry, which means that one of the reasons Pakistan is not able to tap into say the European market is because we do not have exactly this, the traceability to CK. The animal that the meat is coming from, was it vaccinated, was it healthy, where is it coming from, which areas has it gone through. So through the app we are able to actually trace the animal. We are able to say that this is the farmer that raised the animal, and over 2 years we can actually build paternity, which is huge in traceability, that who were the, like, if this animal was born to this parents and these were the grandparents, which actually comprises the entire traceable chain then, including what were the diseases that were encountered, what are the vaccinations, what did the animal eat. All of these things can actually be recorded, and that opens up the market for Pakistan and for developing countries to be able to sell in, say, really high-end markets, which are currently only being catered to by Brazil, Australia. These are the markets that then we can also break into.
Wonderful. The next question is from Abdullah Wakar, and he's asking that, are you planning to raise capital? And if you are, how will you spend it? I think you already had a slide in your presentation about that. So if you want, you can just refer to that or tell us about it.
Sure. So I can just tell you about it. So yes, we are raising, so we are now profitable, and now we are looking for growth capital so that we can, so right now we're, for example, we're in one area in Tharparkar and in Jamshoro. We would like to now expand, and we're looking for capital to be able to expand our operations. And we are also looking for capital on the marketing side to launch our meat line, which, as you may have seen, we are right now selling for, say, 1,000 rupees a kg to Al Shahir, who will buy the live animals. But we want to now go into the value add and launch an entire meat line, and cater to retail customers, where we can charge 1,400 rupees or more for meat that you know where it's coming from, with like complete transparency that what are you eating. Does that answer your question?
That's
And
great. I
then,
think
yeah.
there's a follow-up comment from Irfan. Yeah, so there's a follow-up comment from Irfan who's saying that, who's adding to the point which you just said, that if you add certification and traceability, that and then it will go a long way in helping Pakistan's position to produce locally as well as internationally. And one thing which I thought is very interesting, that before you, Jahan, was presenting about Mandi Express, and he of course is dealing with fresh produce, but the similarity, and then in a way both of you are trying to cut out the middle guys, which who add a lot of inefficiency in the system, who make it unfair, and in both cases, also leading to better price outcome for any kind of resistance from the incumbents.
So far that we have not faced any resistance from the incumbents. In fact, so this the idea of the intermediary, and not all intermediaries are evil or like sort of detrimental to the farmer. Some are, but there are certain intermediaries that are helpful, and I think it's better to have them become part of your system rather than to change the system completely at the onset, right? So, but in our case, since we are working directly with the farmers, we haven't really faced any issues as such. We do face sometimes issues from the incumbent organizations, the welfare organizations, uh, because now farmers are able to do things for themselves, which they were relying on these welfare organizations to do. So we face issues from them, but not like the intermediaries or the middlemen so far.
I think I might be having. But that's very interesting. I was having technology issues. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear
Um,
you. So I can read some of the questions that are coming
Talha,
up.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay,
So
that's great. Yes.
Asim is
So,
also asking, yeah.
yes.
Go on, Ali.
Them, and I'll change the internet.
Okay, I can continue with the questions if you want. I can see the questions in the chat.
That will be great. And
Okay,
I'll just switch my Wi-Fi
okay, no
connection.
problem. So Asim, yeah, I'm reading your question here about the size of cattle that we are looking to reach at about at the end of 2021. So right now we are doing about 300 to 400 animals a month, and we plan to double this. Like, we are opening 2 more collection centers. So we have one right now. We're going to double this to 3 in the next couple of months. That will increase it to 1,800 a month. So I don't know if that answers your question right now. And then over the next year, like this is, and then we plan to increase, depending on the growth capital we get, we can increase it to, we are planning to increase it to about 6 collection centers. And then there is a question from Irfan about the intermediaries. They have a market hold primarily because of liquidity that they can offer to seller instantly. is there not some need for SME financing? Yeah, that's actually a really, really interesting and good point. So the intermediary, Irfan, that you're referring to here are actually higher up in the intermediary chain. So these are the guys who would give money to a local trader who will go down into the market to purchase on cash, because there is a liquidity problem, because the payment cycle right now is such that when we're selling to businesses, they will take anywhere between 4 weeks to 6 weeks to sort of pay you back, and that does create a working capital liquidity issue. And I think it would be, and I think I have heard of one startup that is doing this, which is providing working capital based on the uh, receipts that are expected to come in. Someone from UBL has started working on this, ex UBL. But this would be a great SME financing facility. So somebody, Mohammed Abdul Wakkar, is asking, initiative for goats specifically, or will we move forward with cows? Yes, so that's a great question. Last Eid, we actually, one of our villagers, they wanted to pay us in a camel for one of the pumps, and we were like, oh, we've never actually dealt with a camel, like how do we transport it, how do we, so we actually did it. And yes, and last Eid we also did buffaloes and cows, and we are moving to larger, and our app supports, it doesn't support camels, but it does support buffaloes and cows. And yes, we are moving towards other livestock.
Very interesting. And Fariel, you also last Eid, you mentioned that you were also supplying meat to people, and of course, because of COVID, there was explosion in demand for that. How was your
Yeah.
experience in dealing with that? Because you have been doing it for a while, so would love to know, how has the growth been in demand for online delivery of meat?
Yeah. So we've been doing this now for about 3 years. And on a very small scale, last Eid, we actually picked it up, and the demand just went through the roof. And I can speak for Karachi because we were serving the Karachi market. And this was the first time we were doing Eid. We do 3 products at Eid. The first one being we deliver a live animal to your house in Karachi, which we pick out the specification. We do the qurbani and distribute the meat in our villages for people who want to do that. Like we do the entire qurbani service. And the third is we delivered the qurbani meat to homes, which is what we did last time. So in terms of our experience, there's a huge surge in demand. The capacity within the meat companies was very limited because obviously they had very little time to prepare for it. So I think there were issues in the service. We were very lucky. We were very lucky in the sense that we were able to cater to the demand that we did have, because we have been doing this for the last 3 years. So we only take X amount of orders that we can service. So for us, it was pretty seamless. And now we plan to just basically grow it. We've been, yeah. But the market it was a really
This
interesting time. Like, yeah, our friend,
how big was the
other
surge?
friends. Oh God, it was like, I don't know, 200, 300%. I mean, nobody's ever seen this kind of like situation before, right? So even like veteran players like Meat One, Al Shahid, who've been doing this for the last 2 years, like the meat side, uh, it was quite crazy and painful for a lot of people, I would say, both customers and the service providers.
But I suppose you expect this demand to sustain, right? So for next year, everybody will be better prepared for it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how
We
big do
are
you think the
aiming
market is?
for, yeah. How
Yeah, that's the
big is the
question. How much
market?
are you aiming for? How much are you aiming for?
Well, so we are aiming now to basically do 10 times, because I mean, we were doing this as a pilot. So now we've gotten it down and we're planning to like really grow it 10 times.
Wow.
And we're gearing for it now. Like you start preparing for Eid is basically, every meat company prepares for it all year round. So you start preparing for Eid as soon as the last Eid ends. So we've already put in place whatever we need for next Eid.
Wow, that's fascinating. So best of luck for
Yeah,
for this year. Um,
thank you.
and so there's a lot of things which are happening for you, like you're adding you're launching this tech platform, you're adding more products in terms of expanding to more animals, and Eid is coming, you're expecting 10 times growth. What are your challenges?
So our challenges are primarily capital for growth because we have now, and we've got our priorities very straight. Like the first priority where we're putting in all the money is launching our meat line, because that brings us the cash, right? Once that comes in, then our tech side is done. We just need very little bit on that. So that's something which is happening on the side. um, our impact side, once we've got the meat line launched, we then plan to focus solely on bringing new products for the farmers that they can use, um, through the barter model. So we have it phased out. Our biggest, well, I wouldn't say challenge. We've got a runway for about 12 months, but we are now looking for capital to basically grow faster than we would if we just keep growing at our own pace. We are profitable, but now we know what works, we know what doesn't work, and we're ready to like just take it forward. And that's the place that we're at.
Wonderful. And Fariel, geographically, you mentioned that you also, this problem is not just unique to Pakistan, and there are other countries, especially in Africa, where they're asking you to come and launch it over there. Uh, and somebody has asked the same question, that do you also plan to do it in tier two cities, other cities in other areas of Pakistan? Because right now, if I understand it correctly, it's Sindh and Karachi as the market.
Yeah, we would love to take it to anyone who's buying meat. I mean, Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad. Well, Lahore and Karachi make the most sense at this point, but we would want to take it to tier two, tier three cities. And for us, it would actually be easier because we're starting in the heart and the rural heart, and then for us to, we can easily supply to the tier two places, which are easier for us if we can find buyers. If someone is willing to connect us, please get in touch. I'm going to put my email down here in chat, so please reach out. We would love to, sort of, it would actually be easier for us to service tier two, tier three cities, at this point.
Thank you, Fariel. This was, you're doing a great job, and more power to you. And as Fariel said, that she is raising capital for Uptrade. And if anybody is interested, she will be sharing her email, but
I'll
otherwise
do.
you can
Yeah.
contact me, and I can connect you with
Yeah.
Fariel. So thank you. This, it's always a pleasure to hear about the amazing work which you're doing.
Thank you, Ali, and thank you everyone for this opportunity to share the work. And yeah, thank you. It's been fun.